But it also made me very aware of looking around and questioning why so many people looked fine from the outside, but were carrying so much silently inside them. We're not separate pieces. We're not separate beings, emotions. We're all one, integrated one. And Eka was born from that intention to help people return to that inner wholeness.
Can you describe the profile of the person who walks into your practice looking fine, but is quietly falling apart? What's the first thing that usually breaks that surface?
I think that would describe most of the people in Mumbai today. And so the struggle is old, but the volume and the pressure has just exploded. So whereas the teenager may be the same, the pressure is absolutely different and magnified to a crazy degree.
Welcome to NMACC Culture Conversations. Today, a deep dive conversation with Paayal Lal. Sound Healing by Paayal Lal is a wonderful event in the wellness sound healing category. The venue is the Studio Theatre on the 28th of May, 5 p.m. An hour and 15 minutes spent with Paayal. It will be a healing journey for you. It's a wheelchair accessible venue, and this is suitable for ages 18 plus. We urge you to go get your tickets right away at BookMyShow, at NMACC.com, or at the box office at the Nita Mukesh Ambani Cultural Center. Paayal joins me. Hi, how are you? Good to speak to you.
Very good to speak to you as well. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Paayal, every healer I've spoken to traces their work back to a moment. A breakdown, a loss, a question that wouldn't leave them alone. And your brand is Eka. And Eka in Sanskrit, if I'm not mistaken, is one, a single individual, indivisible self. What was the moment or the season that turned you from someone seeking healing into someone offering it? Why did you choose that particular word to name your sanctuary?
So, yes, absolutely. You're right. Eka means one, and it means oneness. It's ek. In English, we always spell the Sanskrit words with an extra A. It is A. And I think this work found me before I fully even knew how to name it. There was a point in my life where every healer goes through a little breakdown point, but it also made me very aware of looking around and questioning why so many people looked fine from the outside, but were carrying so much silently inside them. Something that I think even I was guilty of, just showing that everything was fine. And that question stayed with me. And over time, my own healing journey became a deeper calling to create this safe space for others as well, where they could feel safe enough to pause, to soften, and to come back to themselves. Eka means one, oneness. And for me, that word holds absolutely everything. We're not separate pieces. We're not separate beings, emotions. We're all one, integrated one. And Eka was born from that intention to help people return to that inner wholeness.
Just take me through the architecture of the NMACC session. I believe you built 75 minutes of an experience, and it's 5 very deliberate movements. Most sound baths just play and release, Paayal. And I find this very intriguing. So walk me through why the timing is what it is. What is the nervous system actually doing in each of those windows of yours, your 5 deliberate movements? And what would go wrong, for example, if someone just walked in cold and skipped the first 15 minutes?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked me that question, and that's, I guess, what sets my sessions apart. It's a very deliberate structure because the nervous system cannot be rushed into safety. So the 5 first minutes are simple arrival. The body needs to know that it's entered a safe space. So there is a sensory, whether it is the visuals, it is just to create the safe space. The next 10 minutes of breath awareness helps people from shifting into their thinking state, into the mind, into the body, bring awareness to the body, breath and body. Then the next 40 minutes is the sound emotion, where the system softens more deeply. The parasympathetic nervous system begins to soften because the sound works beyond words. So the sound emotion just helps soften the body. The final 20 minutes are for integration, for closing, where there is also about 5 to 7 minutes of absolute silence. So people don't just float out, they land. Each and every moment is structured very, very thoughtfully to make it a completely immersive experience. To answer your question, if the first 15 minutes are skipped, if someone just lands in cold, they've missed the first feeling of safety. So the body still might be rushing. Your thought is, I'm rushed, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. So the mind is racing, the breath is racing. So the body is still not ready to receive.
Now, let's come to the modality stack. For those of you who don't know, you're living under a rock if you're listening or watching this. Paayal is really a very, very rare species of a human, a rare practitioner. She holds a CBT, REBT, clinical hypnotherapy. She does somatic work, inner child work, chakra healing, breath work, and sound frequencies all in the same room, believe it or not. That's evidence-based psychology and ancient energetic practice sharing a couch. My question to you is, when a new client sits across from you, Paayal, how do you decide which modality leads? And have you ever had a session where the science and the spirit actually pulled you in opposite directions?
Happens more often than not, but I don't lead with a modality. I listen to the person, and I think that that's where the energetic aspect takes in a little more. Sometimes the mind needs structure, so that's when I see when I'm reading the person that's where the CBT or the REBT helps, and then the hypnotherapy will help. Sometimes the body is holding what the mind can't express, so then the somatic work helps. So it's reading the person and then leading with the intuition. Sometimes, the person themselves is deeply intuitive. So the energetic framework helps in reaching through to them much faster than the scientific aspect. So science and spirit don't sit on opposite ends for me. I feel they both are, the same. It's just looking at it from different ends of the spectrum. And that is why I feel that I can combine both. And science gives us the language where spirit gives us the meaning.
No, that's very well answered. This is what I call the quote-unquote silent crisis of high achievement, yeah? So, it just set me thinking. The NMACC description for you, Paayal, names something very striking. It's the gap between external success and inner emotional capacity. Now, in a city like Mumbai, where ambition is currency, you've got to be seeing this constantly when clients walk up to you. Can you describe the profile of the person who walks into your practice looking fine, but is quietly falling apart? What's the first thing that usually breaks that surface?
I think that would describe most of the people in Mumbai today. And, I work with a lot with corporates also, not only corporates, kids also. Everybody looks fine on the outside, but what is happening inside is burnout, tiredness. And that's the first thing that breaks: the sadness, the exhaustion, the tiredness. The question that I don't know why I'm so tired. I don't know why I'm constantly exhausted. I'm getting the sleep, I'm doing the right things, but I'm tiredness. Because under the tiredness is years of overfunctioning, people pleasing, fear, pressure, and the fear of never knowing when it's okay to stop. So the burnout, that is, in a word, burnout.
So you're saying, they'll walk in saying, I've got a corner office, I've got a full inbox, good marriage on paper, but it's really actually falling apart.
I'm just tired. I don't know why I am so tired. I'm just tired. Everything is okay, but I am tired.
All right, here's the generation question. Your NMACC session is positioned for Gen Z and the adults who support them. Paayal, what's genuinely new about the emotional landscape of an 18-year-old in 2026 versus an 18-year-old in 2006? 20 years apart.
20 years apart.
And what's just timeless adolescent struggle wearing a new costume of TikTok and burnout?
I think the core emotions remain the same: wanting to be seen, wanting to be loved, wanting to know who you are. The core emotion remains the same. What has changed is the intensity, the speed, the pressure, the competition, the constant comparison. As you said, TikTok, the 18-year-old today is growing up with comparison right from the time that they are 5-year-olds. Even the parents are feeling the pressure. So their nervous systems are absorbing all of this right from when they were little children. So the struggle is old, but the volume and the pressure has just exploded. So whereas the teenager may be the same, the pressure is absolutely different and magnified to a crazy degree.
All right, let's talk about frequencies and the human body. There's now serious neuroscience on what sound does. Vagus nerve stimulation, increased heart rate variability, parasympathetic activation. Now, you work with specific frequencies, Paayal. Please demystify this for a skeptical listener or watcher. When a singing bowl is struck near someone's body, what is measurably happening, and where does the measurable end and the energetic begin in your understanding?
So sound is vibration, right? We feel the vibration. So when you're lying down and a bowl is being played next to you, you're not only hearing the sound and it's not only entering through your ears, the vibration, you're sensing the vibration as well, right? So on a measurable level, sound is entering. The calming sound, the breath can support the parasympathetic nervous system. So your breath is slowing down. There is a reduced stress response. There is a deeper relaxation. So this is the measurability. This is where the energetic begins for me, because your emotions begin to soften. The body begins to soften. You can actually see the person letting go. I have people, coming up with memories flowing. Someone will come and say, oh my God, I remembered something from my childhood, or I slept like I've never slept before in these 40 minutes. So while you might say that is measurable, but that is actually energetic. Feeling that you slept for 7 hours in a 30-40-minute session is energetic. So I actually feel that everything sacred doesn't need to be unscientific, and everything scientific doesn't need to be measured. Let there be a little wonder. So sound does that. It brings in the wonder with the scientific aspect.
All right. Okay. A couple of years ago, 2024, you released Walking Through the Forest with Pranav Aditya. Now, that's a different kind of work, Paayal. Sound as a recorded artifact, not a live container with you in the room. What did you learn about making that album that you couldn't learn in a one-on-one session? And what does sound lose when the healer isn't physically present to hold the space?
So sound for me is very sacred, and recording sound taught me that sound can hold intention even when the facilitator is not physically present. Now, when I'm leading a sound live session, I sense the room. I can sense if someone needs more grounding, needs more silence, and I will structure my session accordingly. But in recorded work, the sound has to carry that container on its own. So where it loses that human holding, it gives you accessibility. So if someone's having a hard day and is not, doesn't have accessibility to a healer or to a live session, they can turn on that recording and they can get that moment of peace, of healing, of silence, of just letting go. So they can get that doorway to themselves. So where we lose in human holding, you gain in accessibility.
The women's empowerment lens. Now, much of your practice, your podcast, much of your client base centers around women, particularly women entrepreneurs. I'm curious to know, why is that, and what is specifically broken or specifically healable about the inner world of an Indian woman trying to lead her life in 2026 that pulled you in that direction, rather than just saying, I'm going to work with the general population?
Women traditionally have been, we have been the oppressed generation. We're always taught to give in, to suppress our feelings. We've been taught to carry silently. And Indian women, especially who lead, are often expected to be successful, but not too ambitious. You have to be nurturing, but you can't be exhausted. You can work outside, but you have to handle the house. So you can be, the balance. So a lot of women create a deep split inside. So my work with women is not about is about helping them to come back to themselves without that guilt. Let go of that guilt. So you can lead, you can love, you can create, you can be everything and not have to abandon yourselves in the process. And with the women of today, if you see, we have such great, successful women, but we still have that guilt. So that is why my work focuses so much on the women to let them handle that guilt as well.
So I believe the session ends with an optional reflection using an intention card. Now that word optional is very interesting for me because most facilitators would mandate the reflection to make the experience land. You've got to do this. Why do you give people the right to opt out at the end? And what have you learned about the ones who do versus the ones who reach for the card?
So the intention card is like a message from the universe, but my session is about safety. If the person is feeling safe enough, and if they feel that reaching for a card is a part of the safety, then let them reach for it. But for a person who feels that it has been enough and is still not ready to receive, I don't want to force it. So the person who is not ready has already received that message. He's received actually the most, that he just needs more time and more silence to move forward.
All right. Clinical hypnotherapy is one of Paayal's core tools, and it's probably the most misunderstood by Indian audiences. I mean, you say hypnotherapy to an Indian audience, they'll picture stage hypnosis, swinging watches, and things like that. What does a real hypnotherapy session with you actually feel like for the client? And what's the most unexpected thing it has helped someone access or release?
So a real hypnotherapy is not about losing control. Actually, it's a very relaxed state of mind where you're very much in control. Think about when you're sleeping at night. Your body is asleep, but the mind is always alert, which is why even a small sound can wake you up. Real hypnotherapy is taking you into that deeply relaxed state where the mind is hyper-focused, the conscious mind softens, the subconscious becomes more accessible. So when you're in this state, actually, it surprises people how much the body remembers. So not only as a dramatic memory, but also as a feeling, as an image, as a sentence. So you can release what you're holding on without the conscious barriers. That is why hypnotherapy is very good to release these stuck memories. So most people in a hypnotherapy session feel very calm. They feel very aware and very safe.
There's a beautiful, hard question floating around the wellness world right now. Have you, as facilitators, slowed down yourselves? I mean, you hold space for so many people's nervous systems. What does Paayal Lal personally do at the end of a heavy day to discharge what she's absorbed? And have you ever come close to burnout and the very work that's meant to prevent it?
Absolutely. Burnout, even in healers, is very, very real, which is why healers have healers. We at times do reach out to our colleagues, but I personally set very strong boundaries. I have a ritual that I follow every single day, whether it is salt baths, whether it is sitting in my sacred space, whether it is my silence. I come back to that every single day. I cleanse, I ground, I use breath, I use sound, and I do that on a daily basis because boundaries are very, very important for me if I have to continue doing my work.
Now, this session is also explicitly open to parents and educators of Gen Z. And actually, they're often the least equipped. They didn't grow up in this language. If a parent comes up to you on May 28th and says, Paayal, my 17-year-old won't talk to me, won't get out of bed, calls everything cringe, what do I do tomorrow morning? What's the one practical thing you tell them?
Don't judge them. Tell them, let's go for a coffee. Let's just sit, listen to them. I think at some point, even I may have been guilty of, we always as parents want to correct our children. But what they want us to do is listen. So what I would tell that parent is, sit with your child, take him out for a coffee, take him out for a meal, and just listen. Don't ask, how can I fix this? Or what's wrong with you? Say, let's just sit. Let's not fix anything. Let's just talk.
Chakras have had a strange journey. From ancient yogic anatomy to Instagram aesthetics to quiet skepticism among the medically trained. For someone who finds the whole concept floaty, how would you describe what the chakra system actually maps to in the physical and emotional body in language that wouldn't make a doctor roll their eyes? So plain speak.
So chakras, as we say, are the energy medians of the body. Most doctors would roll their eyes unless you explain to them that this is how the body holds emotion. This is where we feel or carry our emotions, whether it is fear, whether it is guilt, whether it is love, whether it is expression, connection. These are so when you relate it like that to the doctors, they do understand, because stiff shoulders are where we carry our responsibilities. Our stomach is where you've heard the expression butterflies in my stomach. That's our solar plexus chakra, where we carry our fears, our insecurities. So exam stress, you're feeling it in your solar plexus. So when you explain it like that to a doctor, they do get it. And I have met a couple of doctors who don't roll their eyes anymore. So that is how we explain them, the mind, body, emotion connection.
Now, you describe healing as learning the language of the mind, body, and emotions. Could you give us a simple example? When the body is tight, the breath is shallow, and the mind is racing, how can a person begin to decode what is happening instead of judging themselves?
So the first thing I tell all my my clients, my patients, or everyone is be the observer of your body. If your breath is shallow, if your shoulders are tight, your body is communicating something to you. Try and understand, what is it communicating. Don't judge. Don't say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Don't panic. Just observe. It's definitely telling you something. So just then start demystifying. Start getting aware. Okay, it's saying I'm obviously overwhelmed, or there is fear. What is it? What is the underlying emotion? The moment awareness comes in, regulation comes in. The moment you name an emotion, your entire nervous system starts to regulate.
Let's talk about your book, The Black Cat Crossed My Path. Love the title.
Thank you.
That is described as part memoir, part mythbuster. What are some inherited beliefs from family, culture, religion, superstition, or social conditioning that you feel quietly damage emotional freedom?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. And there's so many of them, right? From don't cry, log kya kahenge, ladkiyon ka kaam hai. We've all grown up with all of this, right? Men are not supposed to feel. Success means suffering. Rest means you're lazy. Your worth comes from being needed. All of these are baggages that we have carried, and we have inherited this. We've grown up listening to this. And this is something that I wanted in a fun way to bust in my book. These are invisible cages that we all have been, stuck in. And my work in this book was about helping people ask that, is this really mine to carry, or is this something that I've inherited?
And really, the title itself is intriguing because the black cat is such a familiar symbol of superstition, Paayal. I wonder what made you choose that image, and what does it reveal about the way fear travels through families, through cultures?
The black cat, I think, is one of the most globally recognized or feared superstitious character, from a Bond movie to the Egyptian witches or queens. The black cat, the moment you see a black cat, everybody goes, oh. Despite the fact in some cultures it's supposed to be lucky. So that is what actually made me choose the black cat, because it was the black cat and evil eye. These are the two most globally recognized superstitious figurines.
All right, last question time. On the evening of May 28th, an audience of around 150 people will walk out of the studio theater and they'll get back into Mumbai traffic. Family, WhatsApp groups, Monday morning. What is the single shift you most hope they carry out of that room? Not a feeling, not a quote, but a tangible change in how they meet their own life. And how will you know, if you ever know, that it worked?
I will just tell them one thing, that remember, when you walk into that room and when you walk out, you have the option to pause, to breathe, and to feel. And that is with you. That option is with you all the time. So whenever you get back into that life, just take that minute, take that pause, breathe, and begin to feel again. And if you can do that even once, and I will know that it has worked for you.
Lovely. Sound Healing by Paayal Lal. And if you're interested in wellness, sound healing, this is it. It's at the Studio Theatre, 28th of May, 5 p.m. in the evening, 1700 hours. It's an hour and 15 minutes duration, just so you are mentally prepared. Wonderful venue, wheelchair accessible, suitable for ages 18 and 18 plus. Please go to BookMyShow, the app or the website. Get your spot. They're going out very fast. Or NMACC.com. Or finally, if you're in Bandra Kurla Complex, near the venue, go straight to the box office and book yourself a slot. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very, very much. And see you soon. Bye, Paayal.
Bye. Thank you so much.
One world, your station.